The older I get, the more that I realize that movies that are made for kids are way better than movies that are made for adults. I was on Netflix the other day, scrolling through different movies, trying to find something. I had to go to Hulu. I couldn't find nothing. Amazon Prime, couldn't find nothing. Disney Plus, I couldn't find nothing for an adult to watch. Like, it's that transition between just being an adult and then being a parent. Because the minute you become a parent, you got to watch all the kids' movies anyways. You have no chance, no choice. And I think what they do is that these kids' movies, they try to make it entertaining for adults because they know that you're going to be sitting down with a kid. They might as well make a movie that's kind of cool for you to watch. A movie that I think about that comes to the top of my mind is Lion King. That was an amazing movie. When I was a kid, I cried like a baby. And if you didn't cry watching that movie, you have no heart, okay? When Mufasa died, that is a perfect time to cry. I watched it recently. I almost teared up a little bit. The only reason why I didn't cry is because my wife was right next to me and I was like, I got to stay strong. I got to stay strong. So I didn't cry. But they made a movie for kids and at your adult age, you can still enjoy it. That's a great movie. And the next movie I think about is Shrek. It was a perfect love story. You think about Shrek, he's an ogre, ugly, green. You think about Fiona, Princess Fiona, she is this princess looking for a king. And you think about this princess trying to find someone to save her away from this dragon. You don't think about somebody like Shrek. You think about like Prince Charming, who's the person that's supposed to actually get her. So when Shrek finally gets Fiona, he's just like, what you want to do with an ogre? You don't want nothing like me. Like, I'm not good enough for Princess Fiona. But Princess Fiona, the thing that she knows that Shrek didn't know, at night she turns into an ogre. So she turns into this ugly creature and she's trying to hide that from Shrek. Even though when it's getting dark, she starts running away because she doesn't want to show who she truly is. The reason why this love story is so cool is because it shows that who you naturally are, that's what people are going to attract to. So this ugly ogre that Shrek was, and then Princess Fiona, who actually turns into an ogre at night and tries to hide this from everybody. Now they show their true colors to each other and they realize they're perfect for each other. So that movie taught kids that it's okay to be yourself. You don't have to be perfect to meet someone, be a friend, or find a loved one. You can be yourself. And movies like that is just so cool because you don't really get that in adult movies. Adult movies are going to be just too much. Like, you're going to have all the sex scenes, all the cursing, the drugs, and it's too much. We just want a clean movie talking about self-love and two people finding love, being themselves, which is amazing story for a kid and also for an adult to watch. So over the weekend, I got to see Inside Out. So not the Inside Out 2 where everybody's going crazy about. I never saw the original one. So I watched that. And that was a great kids movie. It was about feelings, how your emotions change who you are. It was just amazing. So if you haven't watched that movie, I'm going to let you know, spoiler alert. I'm going to spoil that movie because that's what this episode is basically about. It's about feelings, how you're getting past your feelings. And I want to use that movie to kind of express that. But before I actually do that, I want to first introduce myself. My name is Jalon Abrams, and this is the Unknown and Talented podcast. So Inside Out, it was about a little girl named Riley. She's into hockey. She loves her family. She's just a sweet little girl. And she's moving from Minnesota to San Diego. Her dad got a new job and he has to move everybody from Minnesota to San Diego. And that's a big change. You're going from Minnesota, which is like a slow paced town, San Francisco, fast paced. So it's a big shift in her life to go from just this small Minnesota to San Francisco, which is like fast paced. And the cost of living is extremely different from Minnesota to San Francisco. Everything up there is expensive. So I want y'all to think of, when is the last time you moved or you had to change locations? How did you feel? I recently had to move from Raleigh to Charlotte. not recent. I've been here for about 3 years now, but that change from Raleigh to Charlotte was extremely different. Raleigh, I knew all my friends, my parents lived there. I knew how to drive places with my eyes closed, basically. And then I had to move to Charlotte, where it's a little more fast paced than Raleigh. Raleigh's very slow. There's, older people there in Raleigh. Charlotte is fast paced. It has young adults. It's a lot different. And being here, I remember my first task when I moved to Charlotte was to continue my book selling business. I had a book selling business in Raleigh. I was, making a lot of money. I wasn't working for anybody else. I was working for myself, and I loved it. But I was ready to grow. I was ready to get out of my parents' house and do my own thing. And I said the only way I can do that is make an extreme change. Move from Raleigh to Charlotte is an extreme difference. It's a big shift, and it really helped me grow. But when I first got here, I realized that my book business that I had in Raleigh wasn't going to work here. And I was devastated. I was just like, I messed up because I was making money in Raleigh. I wasn't working for somebody. And then the minute I got to Charlotte and actually moved in and realized that the book business that I had in Raleigh wasn't going to work in Charlotte, I was like, man, I messed up. I already signed my lease for 12 months and I felt like I was stuck. And I felt like this was probably the worst decision I've ever made. And it really affected me for a few weeks. I had to find a job, ended up working for myself. Now I'm working in a warehouse where it's super hot during COVID. Like, can you think about that? Working in a warehouse during COVID where you're unloading trucks and you're in there with 7 other guys and nobody wants to wear their mask. That was crazy. But that was what I had to do because I made a decision to move from Raleigh to move to Charlotte. So that's the same thing Raleigh had to go through. She had to go through being in her comfort zone in Minnesota and then traveling to San Francisco, and her entire life flipped upside down. Minnesota, like I said, the cost of living is very low. So they probably had a pretty decent house. The minute they moved to San Francisco, the house is small. It looked disgusting, and that's how she started. She started off in her mind thinking how great this can be, and now her whole mind flipped because now she's basically in a dump. So how does this relate to you? In life, things are constantly changing, and when things are changing, your feelings, your emotions are going to change. It's not going to stay the same because things are changing around you. You're having to change the way you feel. And the purpose of this episode is for you to be able to control those feelings, for the exterior things happening around you not to change your feelings, because that's what was happening to Raleigh. Whatever was happening outside of her feelings inside of her were just going crazy. And that's what we want to try to avoid, because this was a child dealing with different emotions and she not being able to control it. If you listen to this, you're an adult and you need to know how to handle your emotions in different situations, because nothing in life is more constant than change. I want you to really think about that quote. I'm going to say it again. Nothing in life is more constant than change. Things are going to always change. Thinking about that, I think about this famous quote from Jay-Z. So he says, people look at you strange, saying you change, like you work that hard to stay the same. I love that quote. It's because, yes, you're going to change. With growth comes change. I'm working on a podcast right now. I have my mic in front of me. I have this camera in front of me. I'm in my office. The more consistent I am, the better I get at storytelling. That's going to change who I am as a person. So now when this podcast blows up, yeah, I changed because I'm going to be somebody different. I had to become someone different for this podcast to change, for this podcast to blow up. So of course I changed. Of course you call me the numbers different because I'm not going to be staying the same. The person that you knew, that you had their contact information, was the person I was before I blew up. Now I'm blown up. Now I'm famous. Now this podcast is popping. I don't have time to answer the phone. I have to block you. I have to unfollow you. I have to do all these different things because I'm moving as the different Jalon. Because it's not that I just overnight I just said, "Oh, I'm not talking to you." It's I'm a different person. I went through a time where I had to go through struggle and I got through that. And now I have this podcast that's has 1 million listeners a month. I don't know. But I did a lot to actually get there. So of course that's gonna come with change. But nobody likes change. People want things to stay the same. If you ask Blockbuster, they definitely don't like change. They were changed out of business. Netflix came through. They said we about to ship people their movies, so you don't have to go to Blockbuster. And now Blockbuster's out of business. They definitely didn't like change, but it continuously happened. When we were younger, we used to watch everything on cable. We had to watch TV at a certain time. The show came out at 9 o'clock. You better be in front of that TV at 9 o'clock, or you're gonna miss the show. Or you got to catch the rerun that comes on who knows when. You really had to be on the TV at an exact time. Then they created DVR. DVR, now you get to record your show and you get to watch it anytime you want. But then they decided to create Netflix and put all the TV shows on Netflix. So now we don't even need cable. And Netflix is cool because you get to watch your shows anytime you want. No commercials. You just watching it. You paying your little $10 a month. Now you're just watching it. But now Netflix is $25 a month. And that's to get no commercials. They got a $15 tier to watch it with commercials. And I'm just like, I'm not paying you $15 a month to watch TV with commercials. I'm paying you and you're getting paid from the advertisements. That's crazy. Like my Netflix bill was $9.99. I look up, the bill is $25 for the same thing. For the same thing. And we're not even getting more shows. We got some shows we want to watch. We got to watch on Amazon. Other shows we want to watch on Hulu. Another show we watch on Disney Plus. Now we paying for 4 different subscriptions. We might as well just had cable because all these subscriptions is like $25 plus. And then now if you want to watch live sports, you got to pay $70 or more for Hulu. And it's just like we had cable at one price and we were good. Now everything changes. Now we got to pay 10 times the amount just to watch TV. Like we should bring back the bootlegs. Bring back bootleg movies. I remember I used to go to the barbershop. The guy would come in. I got your movies. I got your movies. What kind of movie you want to watch? Soul Plane? I got you. Like that's what we got to go back with because these people at the subscriptions get out of hand. They had the bootleg guy because the movies was too expensive. So we didn't go to the movie theaters. So the bootleg guy came around with the movies. We need the bootleg guy back because the Fire Stick ain't working. My Fire Stick, somebody jailbroke it and it went right back a couple months later. Like my Fire Stick don't work. Let me just get the bootlegs. Okay? So if you make bootlegs, DVDs, hit me up. Your boy needs to watch some movies. So you know change is going to happen. So you got to make sure that you don't allow that to affect your feelings, to affect your emotions. You have to be ready for change, prepared for change. Going back to Inside Out, the reason why it was such a great movie, because what it taught you is that even though you might be frustrated, you might be sad, mad, all of these emotions that you have are emotions that you need. Like you can't be happy without sadness. You can't be happy without anger. You know, you can't be feeling safe, like you're in a safe location without fear. There's all of these things are balancing. You have to have one emotion to have the other. So when change comes in your life, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be fearful. It's okay to be angry. But you have to know it's a balance thing. You don't want to just be angry all the time. You don't want to be sad all the time. You don't want to be fearful all the time. You want to make sure it's a balancing act. So you might have that time where change comes with a Netflix bill. It's $50 one day and you upset. You also got to be able to balance that with also joy about something else. So the next thing that affects your feelings, that you want to make sure doesn't affect your feelings are other people. Other people's actions can make you feel a certain way. I don't know if you have ever drove up north, New York to be exact. That is a crazy town to drive in. Not only are people speeding, like the speed limit is like 35 in the regular streets, and people are probably even slower than that. People just be driving fast, blowing the horn. Like road rage is at an all-time high in New York. And if you're not safe, you can get yourself in trouble. Because if you drive and then somebody's out here blowing the horn at you, cussing you out, and you end up getting out the car, listen, I can't save you. I can't save you. You don't want to allow this person that's going crazy make you go crazy and do something that you're gonna regret. Just keep it moving. It's nothing worse than driving. Probably listen to your praise music. You out here praising, yeah, and next you know somebody cuts you off. Now you cussing like a sailor because they cut you off. You can't do that. You can't allow that person to have so much control over you that you end up doing something that you're going to regret. I feel like another thing that's affecting a lot of people is the acceptance of others. Social media. People are recording themselves, taking 50 pictures just to post one so they can get acceptance from others. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm definitely guilty. I don't like none of these pictures, but I'm going to keep taking these pictures until I find one that I like, because I want to make sure that I get as much likes as I possibly can. I'm gonna record this story 50 times until I get it right so people can like it. We do things for others' approval and not our own. Like, we don't really care what we think of it. We just want to make sure that the masses care about it. The first thing that comes to mind is that cinnamon challenge that we had years back. People are just putting cinnamon in a spoon, putting it in their mouth, and basically choking for camera to see how long they can hold it in their mouth. And I'm like, I'm not sure if anybody died from that, but I'm pretty sure you could have got pretty close, because it was insane. But people did it for clicks, and people continually do stuff like that for clicks. I know they had some videos where people ask people stupid question in the hood, and I'm just like, they're putting yourself in harm's way for likes, for approval. It's not even for money, because people are not paying to see this. They're just paying to laugh and say, oh my gosh, which don't really make sense. I think what you should do instead is find out things that you like. Find out things that you enjoy. Never do things for likes or approval. Find things out that you like. Like this podcast, I'm not talking about the most insane topics to get a bunch of views. I'm talking about what I like. I had a podcast with my friends where we try to do a bunch of current events. We got burned out because after a while, it's like, there's nothing really to talk about. So now I created this podcast where I'm legit talking about what I want to talk about, when I want to talk about. And when it blows up, hey, it's going to be all because of me. It's not going to become because of any outside forces. And then when something is because of you, it's going to be able to work. But when you're dealing with outside forces trying to control what you do, like I said before, everything is going to constantly change. So you're just going to be out here going from trend to trend to trend, trying to follow trends. And when you do that, you're going to find a trend that is not going to be great for you, like that cinnamon challenge. You're going to end up in the hospital or something crazy because you decided to do a stupid trend just to fit in when you can just be yourself. And I think the last way that you allow people to control your feelings is when it comes to relationships. I feel like when people are not with somebody, they're just dating, they allow them to do a lot more to them mentally than anything else. I was definitely guilty of that at one point. It's like trying to get the approval of somebody to go on a date with them or to get their number. You do whatever you can, song and dance for this person and trying to get their attention. And once you find the right person, you realize that all that stuff you was doing was never going to be able to sustain, because you're doing all this stuff, extra twirling and stuff to get attention from somebody. And then that's how you end up in a toxic relationship. It was toxic from the start. From the start, you're doing all this extra things to get approval for the person, and that's not the person you are. I remember when I was in my apartments, I was walking to the mail room, and there was this couple just fighting, guy and girl fighting, ripping clothes right in front of the mail room. And I said, yo, I don't want that kind of love. That don't make no sense. That's insane. I For someone to get you to the point where you're fighting, especially as a man, you're fighting a woman over anything, that's that's insane. But the crazy thing about that is that the next day I saw the same couple just walking and talking like nothing happened the day before. Like I had to do a double take. I know that's not who I thought it was. Like they were legit just fighting, fist fighting, pulling each other's clothes off, and now the next day they're just walking hand in hand like nothing happened. Like that's toxic. And that's the kind of things you could set yourself up for when you're allowing someone else to affect how you're feeling. Like nobody should have control over your happiness. Like this person comes to my life, I'm only happy when I'm with that person. Because now it's dangerous. Now that person leaves you, now you're not happy anymore. Even if you're in a relationship now, you should not allow that person to be able to make you happy. I remember Will Smith had this quote. It's like, my job is not to make Jada happy. I know everybody's beefing about Will and all that stuff, but he was right. His job is not to make her happy because the minute he leaves or anything happens between them, then just not going to be happy. So you want to be happy for yourself, have your feelings in check, and that person can add to that, but you never want that person to be the reason why you're happy or the reason why you're sad. You want to kind of control your own emotions. So going back to the movie Inside Out, the thing I really want y'all to get from this episode is that your feelings are inside of you. The examples of the movies they had were joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. These are all feelings and emotions that you have inside of you. Yes, the outside world is going to affect those, but you also want to make sure that you have control of your feelings. Because without control in the world around you constantly changing every single day, you're going to end up doing things that you end up regretting because you're allowing outside forces to control you. You want to make sure that you're controlling everything and keeping it in check. Basically, what I do to kind of control my feelings is I journal. I journal every single day. That's the first thing I do when I wake up. Because any thoughts of fear or sadness or anger that I had from the day before, I want to just write all that stuff out. Any feelings that I have, because I want to go into that day fresh. I want to go into that day full of joy, ready to just have a brand new day. Because every time you go to sleep, you wake up the next day, is a brand new day. It doesn't matter what happened the day before. No matter what stresses or anything you happened the day before, you want to come to that new day with, fresh eyes. And that's what I do. I don't want to take in anything from yesterday. And if I had a really bad day, I might even journal at night just to make sure that all of those feelings are on that sheet of paper and I don't take these feelings out in the world. And if you tried journaling and didn't work, you can also try therapy. Therapy, there's someone to talk to about your feelings, your emotions, and why you're in that mental space. They're there to help you as well. Therapy is not for people that are crazy. I know growing up, that was like a thing. Therapy was just for somebody that might be crazy. That's not what therapy is about. Therapy is to be able to get your feelings and emotions in check. It will be very beneficial for you if you're unable to control those feelings. And I'll say pray. That'll be my last one. My last one will be pray. Anytime where you think that you're in a spot mentally that you can't control, the only person that you can talk to at that point is God. God is there to help you get through this life. He doesn't want you to see you stressed, sad, fearful, all these emotions. He doesn't want to see you in those kind of spots, even for a long period of time. So he's definitely going to be there to help you with anything. So the last, I say first, honestly, first thing you should be doing anyway is praying before anything. But you can definitely pray, and you also have your journaling, and you also have have therapy. Those are going to be probably my top 3 things that you can do to make sure that you get out of your feelings. So that's pretty much it. My voice is basically gone. Doing all this talking on this podcast, talking to people all day. I love talking, so that's why I got a podcast. But I don't got no voice right now. But hopefully y'all enjoyed that episode. I would definitely say watch Inside Out. It's a really good movie. I'm gonna watch Inside Out too. I might make a whole nother episode about that too. But I enjoyed talking to y'all today. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching Inside Out, leave in the comments what you thought about the movie. Don't give me no spoilers about Inside Out too, because I haven't watched that. But other than that, my name is Jelon Abrams. This is Unknown and Talented, and we'll see you next week.